there was I guess, objection raised to the weight of a particular fish, because that is how, the competition is won or lost, is by weight, not necessarily number of fish. So it's like a particular fish could kind of tip the scales, literally and figuratively, kind of a pun, but there are actual scales involved. And someone calls out, "Nah, man, bullshit. I don't buy it. No way that fish weighs 30 pounds or whatever. Get a knife."
History is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
This is a cheating scandal that has rocked the competitive fishing world. Specifically a fishing tournament out of Cleveland's Gordon Park. A guy, or a two-person team named Jake Runyon and Chase Kuminski had entered a competitive fishing competition wherein entrants, I guess, pay a $400 entry fee, which is what makes the pot of winning money. So therefore, I mean, cheating's always, sus and super sketchy and bad for business. But, if you're literally robbing the other people that you're competing against, that's like extra not cool. So these two guys have apparently been very successful in the competitive fishing world for a long time and have raked in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in winnings. And it's official. It's a fish. They are absolute cheaters. It was actually captured on video. Let's just hear a little clip of this video just to hear how up in arms everyone gets when this is revealed, and then we'll kind of describe the scene.
Here we go! Out of here! Where's the other one?
Don't we need to file a police report?
Yeah, I would.
Jason, we got to file a police report.
Okay, so what you're hearing is people reacting to the, referee, for lack of a better term, a guy whose last name is Fisher, by the way, speaking of nominative determinism, which no one really was, but now we are. There was objection raised to the weight of a particular fish, because that is how, the competition is won or lost, is by weight, not necessarily number of fish. So it's like a particular fish could kind of tip the scales, literally and figuratively, kind of a pun, but there are actual scales involved. And someone calls out, "Nah, man, bullshit. I don't buy it. No way that fish weighs 30 pounds or whatever. Get a knife." So Fisher takes a knife and cuts open the fish, and within the fish there are these like very large, unwieldy, like lead weights. They look like eggs. And also fillets, store-bought fillets of walleye, which is the type of fish that was being sought in this competition. And as you heard in that clip, everyone lost their mind. People are screaming. They're about to pillory these folks. They're about to, run them up the rafters. They want their heads. They're crying for blood. Someone says, "We got to file a police report." And sure enough, that has in fact happened, because this is theft. This is fraud. And it calls into question these two dudes, Runyon and Kaminsky's, entire competitive fishing career. Because again, they had won. They'd been very successful for many, many years. And this is, obviously there's going to be, I don't know how you go back and check their past winnings. I mean, those fish have obviously been filleted and fried up, or I don't know how they throw them back or what. But an electronic scale measured their haul at 33.91 pounds. And nobody bought it based on what they were seeing. And sure enough, they, cut the fish open, and then they found weights and other, kind of dressings or, whatever kind of enhancements in their other fish. So this is wild. There is actually an investigation into these guys. This is actually essentially maybe not a federal case, but there is some concern that there is long-term theft going on from these folks. So this is an ongoing story. But
Fish cops,
right? Like wow. I mean. And the funny thing, too, about fishing is apparently it's so rife with cheating already outside of this event that competitors are required to take polygraph tests. And
That's
apparently,
silly.
yeah, well, we know that polygraph tests are, very fallible. But apparently Cleveland and Kaminsky had been ejected or had been disqualified from a previous tournament because they failed a polygraph test. So, I mean, this is serious business, but, again, we know how faulty these results can be for polygraph tests, but the fact that it's even like an issue, whatever happened to sportsmanship, apparently it's out the window, down the drain. What do you guys think? It's another kind of, again, I got to credit my favorite YouTube channel, Internet Today, for hipping me to both of these stories, the chess one and this fishing one. And they point out that these are like two seemingly innocuous sports, that some people might not even consider sports. And yet we're seeing like literally a conspiracy going on. And this one that could date back years.
Hook, line, and sinker, all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, well, when there's a monetary reward involved in some kind of tournament, no matter what it is, there's a reason to win, right? People are strapped for money right now. People always have been. It's never been easy to just get by. And if it seems like there's an easy opportunity to take away, in this case, almost $30,000 for this one tournament that they got caught for, I don't know. If you want it badly enough, people find a way.
Yeah. life and greed alike will find a way. This also calls to mind an excellent conversation we had a number of years ago with Brian Toohey. Brian Toohey is a guy who I don't know about everybody else who was listening, but he did not 100% persuade me that the entirety of professional sports is rigged, but he raised some incredibly compelling points about specific sports. So to your, as you just said, Matt, it's unfortunately not super surprising, but it does bring to mind a lot of questions. Noel, do you think this will change the way that authorities in competitive fishing, the way that they like calculate wins or their process for ascertaining the size of the fish? Also, props to the guy who was like, "That's BS. That fish. There's no way that fish weighs that."
Well, the fish that were being questioned were kind of run of the mill, fish that would be around 4 to 5 pounds, Lake Erie fish. They call them 5-pound cookie cutters, which I guess means they're kind of like standard. And it was very clear that with the number of these they had, that overall weight made no sense. The biggest one they had came in at 7.9 pounds, which is just completely suspicious. I don't know how they thought. I guess they'd been getting away with it for so long that they just kind of got a little sloppy and brazen, it would seem.
Sloppy.
And, and in the video, you can kind of see when they're, everything's coming up, these guys, and then all of a sudden the mob turns on them and you can see their faces just kind of fall. And there is a sense of like, oh no, we've been found out. And they have responded and said that, like, I think they said something to the effect of, we only did this one time to protect our reputation, which is sort of counterintuitive considering that this like is going to wreck their reputation, long term. I mean, they're obviously not going to be able to enter any more fishing competitions like this, for a very long time, if ever. I'm sure they'll be barred, if there's some sort of governing body of these type of events, but it has been turned over to the local or the regional Department of Natural Resources, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, for investigation. But this could potentially come with, if not massive fines, and having to pay back the more than $300,000 these guys have won, in their career. but it could involve some jail time.